he beat Jorge Garcia way more convincingly than Jorge Garcia beat Charles Conwell. Well, Xander Zayas did it. He's a new WBO super welterweight champion. He outboxed Jorge Garcia for 12 rounds and ultimately walked away with unanimous decision. The final scores were 119-109, 118-110, and 116-112 from 3 judges. So won very convincingly in the eyes of the judges, in the eyes of the public as well. And as somebody who was there covering the fight, I felt like he boxed really well. Real quick, just to give you a sense of the atmosphere, since I was at the arena, and I've been to almost all of Xander Zayas' fights at Madison Square Garden or Madison Square Garden Theater at this point. And what I can say is maybe he won't fill out all of Madison Square Garden because it's north of 18,000 people. It's possible, but I do think he could sell out more than the theater at this point. He could sell out a bigger venue than the theater, I think. A lot of support there, a lot of support for Rohan Polanco as well, who obviously is, Dominican up and coming welterweight, who fought on the undercard. A lot of support for Bruce Carrington as well. Shoot. Brooklyn, been a staple in this area since he was an amateur, really. And at 28 years old, he gets an interim title for the first time. But to focus on Xander Zayas for the bulk of this video, we're going to do that. Let's break down the victory a little bit. I'd love to use film, but ESPN will flag me. They've done it before. So no smoke. But with Xander Zayas and the victory, a couple different things. One, came out aggressive, like right out the gate. Different variety in punches, a varied jab. So the jab wasn't at the same tempo, wasn't from the same length all the time. He would throw it short, he would throw it long, he would throw it to the head, throw it to the body, he would double up on the jab, both to the head, both to the body, or body head or head body. Other punches off of the jab, obviously, the right hand, the right uppercut, right hook to the body, the left hook to the body as well. Obviously, he's Puerto Rican, he's going to throw a left hook to the body, double up on the left side with the left hook to the head and to the body, or in the reverse order. Variety of punches put the pressure on Jorge Garcia, and then when Jorge Garcia would get in too close, Xander Zayas would, step out of there, or he would pivot away, or he would clinch. And ultimately, a lot of people gave him shit online for the clinching. And what I would say is a lot of the great ones used that as a tactic. It frustrated Jorge Garcia. Jorge Garcia never really got into the fight, never really got into a rhythm. And it felt like he wasn't setting up his punches. Jorge Garcia was not jabbing with a ton of success. We're going to look at the numbers in a second, but he wasn't setting up a lot of the shots that he probably wanted to get to. It was just looping shots from a distance. He landed a few. He certainly landed on Xander Zayas a few times, but for the most part, it was a very good, mostly clean performance from Xander Zayas. And considering the level of competition, I had a lot of respect for Jorge Garcia coming into this fight. Still do. The best guy that Xander Zayas has fought, and in turn, Xander Zayas' best guy, Jorge Garcia, fought. And I thought you could make the case this is Xander Zayas' best performance when you consider this for a world title. Christopher Pitufo Diaz at one point was in a similar spot for Top Rank, where he was fighting in Kissimmee for a world title. His first world title was an interim world title, and he lost. And lost going away. It was set up for him to become a new Puerto Rican champion, world champion, Top Rank's promoted champion. Same spot, lost. This was in like 2018 or something like that. He lost to Masayuki Ito, who then lost to Jamel Herring, who then lost to Shakur Stevenson. This wasn't a gimme for Xander Zayas, is the point. And he got it done. Let's look at how. Okay, punch stats from Xander Zayas' win over Jorge Garcia. Xander Zayas lands about 200 punches in this fight, exactly 199, 16.6 punches per round. Comparatively, Jorge Garcia Perez, about 11 punches per round. He lands 130. He throws 603. Xander Zayas throws 522. Xander Zayas, toward the end, got a little less active, more economical, and was just trying to outpoint his way to victory, it appeared. He lands 38% right here. See at the bottom of the screen, 38% of his punches for the fight. Jorge Garcia Perez, just 21.6% of his punches landed. The jab battle, though, as I mentioned earlier at the top, this is pretty significant. Power punches too. We'll get to that in a second. Jabs, 76 of 246 from Xander Zayas. So he's throwing essentially 20 jabs per round, 76 jabs landed in totality. Like, that's an active jab for 12 rounds. That's very active. Again, he was doubling up. That's more than 6 jabs per round. He was doubling up with the jab. He was using it, and I felt like at times he even got away from it a little bit in the mid to late portion. We'll get to that because the numbers do indicate that. So a lot of this is an example of, because punch stats aren't always like 1,000,000,000% accurate, but this is an example of the punch stats actually, like, oh yeah, confirming this is what I saw in this fight. With Garcia, he only lands 26 jabs, so just north of 2 jabs per round. He throws 173. A lot of them felt like they were kind of just throwaway jabs, range finders. He couldn't quite get into, the range he wanted. He had a height advantage here, 6 feet, maybe 6'1". Xander Zayas 5'10", but both had 74-inch reach. So Xander Zayas was able to control this in the mid-range sort of area, and at range, at a distance. Jorge Garcia wanted to get on the inside and make this ugly for Xander Zayas, and Xander Zayas didn't allow that to happen. Power punches, 123 of 276. About 45% of his power punches landed. 123 power punches. So he's landing basically 10 power punches per round, per 12-round fight. And here with Garcia Perez, 104 power punches landed, but he threw 430, threw a lot more. He wasn't throwing a ton of jabs in this fight, as mentioned. 24% of those landed. So not a very accurate night for Jorge Garcia, and it felt like it. Xander Zayas was blocking a lot of his shots. There were loud thumps. You would hear it because I was in the second row. You could hear it just loud, just hooks hitting gloves, just a lot of things getting blocked. Xander Zayas responsibly going away when he would step off with the glove up, behind the ear or around the ear area, both hands, as a matter of fact, moving his head constantly and doing things to create space, create the separation, and obviously, clinching on the inside when he felt like Garcia, could have gotten into a rhythm and make this the fight he wanted. So we'll go a little round by round here before moving on to what Xander Zayas had to say at the press conference, because I was there for that. I wouldn't call it a press conference, actually. I would say scrum. It was a scrum. It was 10 minutes, but he had a couple interesting comments there. We'll focus on that to end this. So Xander Zayas, more accurate in rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All 12 rounds. In fact, the closest gap in terms of just sheer accuracy was a round that I thought was kind of a swing round, but I ultimately gave Xander Zayas the first round. I thought he started off very well. He was better in round 2, was better in round 3, I thought, and ultimately the numbers do reflect that. So he lands 31% of his punches out the gate, 16 of 52, setting the tempo. And I was wondering, okay, he is a volume puncher. He's more of an accumulation of punishment guy than he is a one-punch knockout artist type of dude. Whereas in the weight class, people are scared basically of him fighting potentially Bakram Murtazayev or Virgil Ortiz or Sebastian Fundora, because they all theoretically have power, although I would say Fundora not nearly as much as Virgil Ortiz and Murtazayev. But Garcia here, 13 of 46, and honestly, that's one of his better outputs. It definitely is. It's his most accurate round, and I still think he lost it. Over here, now this is, I think, a round you could give to Garcia. The numbers don't necessarily scream that, but in watching the round 8, round 9, I think those are rounds where Xander Zayas kind of took his foot off the gas a little bit more. It's reflected here in terms of just going 15 of 40. The jabs are 4 of 17. I feel like he abandoned the jab a little bit here and was getting a little too lax with it. Garcia actually owns the power punching output here, where he's 13 of 49 against 11 of 23 from Xander Zayas, who's a lot more accurate in terms of his power punches, but it looked like more of a Garcia round. I felt like if you had Xander Zayas sweeping before, which is totally within the realm of possibility, this is a round you can give to Garcia, as was round 9, 12 of 51 power punches to 11 of 30. Again, not as accurate, but in watching the round, like, Xander Zayas was clearly not taking a round off, but conserving himself for, okay, look, there's still championship rounds to go. I have a big lead. Like, let's be smart here. Still outlanded him though, 16 of 52 versus 14 of 61. Still very accurate. I think there are probably people who think Xander Zayas might have won every round, and The stats would indicate that that could be the case. But again, in watching the fight, I do think Garcia, like I had it 118, 110 for Xander Zayas. I ultimately thought he lost rounds 8 and 9. There's an argument to be made that Garcia might have taken one of the first 7, but outside of round 1, I don't really see it. Maybe the 6, but I doubt that. Xander looked really good at the start and controlled the fight from there. Could have done more, but I felt like the mission was to not get reckless. Let's look at the jabs here real quick. 7 of 29 in round 1, 4 of 20 in round 2, round 3, 7 of 25 against 0 of 14. And this is the thing, Garcia just could not get that jab going. He doesn't land a jab in 3 rounds, 3 different rounds. And he didn't even throw more than 1 in round 12. It's kind of crazy to think about. Like, throw 1 jab in an entire round in a boxing match. 0 for 14 with the jab in round 3, 0 for 8 in round 10, 0 for 1 in round 12. Xander Zayas just consistently 7-4, 7-10, 7-7, 8-4. Like rounds 8 and 9 is when, again, I thought he abandoned it a little bit here. And this kind of gave an opening to Garcia, who was starting to like land more power shots. But Xander Zayas was able to neutralize that. He did clinch more. He was, blocking more shots. He was looking to counter punch and had success ultimately in doing so. And the power punches, I thought he was very, very accurate. He had a 50% power punching round in round 11, another one in round 5, another one in round 7, as a matter of fact. In fact, he landed 40+% of his power punches in all but just 2 rounds. Every round but round 1, which is 39%. So right there in round 9, which is 36.7%. So he beat Jorge Garcia way more convincingly than Jorge Garcia beat Charles Conwell.